Jiwon walked through the hallways of the Celestial Defense Academy with his uniform feeling too tight around his chest. The academy sat on Kepler Station, orbiting a star system that humans had only discovered 50 years ago. Now, humans were here. Now, they were learning to fight alongside aliens. Now, everything was different. His squad mates walked with him, their boots making hard sounds on the metal floor. Min Kyung was checking his weapon for the 100th time, running his fingers along the barrel like it was a lucky charm. Daon was quiet, as she always was before a test. Teo was talking about something he had read in the training manual, but Jiwon was not listening. He was thinking about what was waiting for them in the training chamber. Na, the Valorian instructor who had arrived 3 months ago. The rumors about her had started immediately. Some said she was so fast that the Academy's cameras could not follow her movements. Others whispered that she had survived attacks that would kill any human. She did not smile. She did not joke. She did not seem to like humans very much at all. But there she was, teaching at humanity's first real military academy off of Earth. "Did you hear what happened to Choseok last week?" Min Kyung suddenly said, breaking the silence. "No," Da-un answered, though her eyes told everyone she already knew the story. "She threw him across the training chamber just by moving her hand," Min Kyung said. "He did not even attack her. He was just standing there and she moved, and he went flying. He broke his arm." "She did not throw him," Teo said in his calm, know-it-all way. "She probably used a pressure wave. Valorian physiology allows for—" "I do not care about the physics," Min Kyung interrupted. "The point is that she is dangerous. Really dangerous. And we have to train with her." They entered the observation deck, and immediately Jiwon felt the temperature drop. The deck was full of cadets, all standing behind the thick glass. Beyond the glass, the training chamber was enormous, with white walls and a floor that looked like polished metal. In the middle of the chamber stood Haina. She was not tall, but she seemed to take up all the space. Her skin had colors in it that human skin did not have. It was like someone had mixed gold and silver and something that might have been blue, and then they had poured it into the shape of a person. Her armor was made of something that caught the light in strange ways. 2 eyes. One was yellow like a cat's eye, and one was silver like a mirror, looked out from her face. Everything about her seemed designed for something other than living on a normal planet. A voice came through the speaker system. "Cadet Jiwon, please enter the training chamber." Jiwon's stomach did a flip. He had known this was coming. The academy assigned cadets to one-on-one evaluations with Haina once a month. It was meant to help them understand how to fight against abilities they had never seen before. It was also terrifying. He took a breath and walked toward the chamber entrance. His hands were shaking and he tried to hide them in his pockets. The training chamber door hissed open and he stepped inside. The door shut behind him with a sound like a gun firing. He was alone with Haina now. She stood still, watching him. Her eyes did not blink in the way human eyes blinked. It was like she was reading him, looking at every part of him and making calculations. "Jiwon," she said. Her voice was strange, like it was coming from very far away and very close at the same time. "You are nervous." "Yes," Jiwon said. It was better to be honest. She would probably know anyway. "That is acceptable," she said. "Nervousness means you understand the difference between us?" Haina walked to a table on the side of the chamber. A small device sat there, shaped like a cylinder that was maybe the size of a person's hand. She picked it up and looked at it like someone might look at a very interesting rock. "This is a scanner bolt," she explained. "It is designed to read defensive capabilities. When I fire it at you, your job is to respond. There are no rules. Any defense is acceptable. Do you understand?" "Yes," Jiwon said again. He moved to the center of the chamber, just like all the training videos had taught him. He stood with his feet shoulder-width apart, ready to move in any direction. His eyes stayed on Haina. She raised the device. Ji-won watched the light build up inside the cylinder, a soft blue light that became brighter and brighter. Then she fired it. The scanner bolt came out of the device so fast that Ji-won could barely see it as a streak of light. It was moving faster than he could run, faster than he could think. It was coming right at his chest, and there was nothing he could do. He started to move his arms to try to block it, even though he knew it was useless. And then, something impossible happened. Haina moved. Not in the way humans moved, not in the way anything Ji-won had ever seen moved. She was suddenly between the scanner bolt and him, her arm extended. The scanner bolt, which was traveling at speeds that should have broken through armor, simply appeared in her open hand. She had caught it. The bolt was sitting in her palm, its energy still pulsing, but contained. Held. Stopped. Ji-won's breath caught in his throat. Around him, through the glass, he could hear the other cadets gasping. Even they could see that something was not right. Something was not normal. This was not supposed to be possible. Haina looked down at the bolt in her hand. She turned it slowly, like she was examining something from an ancient museum. The colors in her skin started to shift, becoming more silver, less gold. Her eyes, both of them, looked up at Ji-won. "Earthborn," she said, and her voice was different now. It held something like curiosity. "Try again." She crushed the scanner bolt in her hand. The pieces fell to the ground, small and broken. She looked at him and waited. Ji-won realized his hands were shaking even more than before. He had just watched her catch something that was moving faster than sound. He had watched her hold it like it was nothing. And now she wanted him to try again. But he did not have another bolt. And even if he did, he knew it would not matter. "I cannot," he said quietly. Haina tilted her head, considering. "Why not?" "Because I am not strong enough," Ji-won said. "Because I am too slow. Because I am human and you are something else." For a long moment, Haina said nothing. Then slowly, something that might have been a smile appeared on her face. It was not a warm smile. It was not a kind smile. But it was definitely a smile. "Yes," she said. "You are exactly right. You are human. And that, I think, is far more interesting than you realize." The rest of the day moved slowly, like time had decided to punish Ji-won for surviving his encounter with Haina. He went to his next classes, ate lunch with his squad mates, and participated in a physical training session where he had to climb a wall 3 times while carrying 50 kilograms of weight. Nothing felt real. Everything felt like he was watching someone else do these things. His squad mates were full of questions about what happened in the training chamber, but Ji-won did not want to talk about it. He could still see her hand closing around the scanner bolt. He could still hear her voice saying his name like it was something she was tasting for the first time. That evening after dinner, Ji-won told Da-yoon he was going to sleep early. This was a lie. Instead, he changed into his civilian clothes and made his way to the Academy archives. The archives were on the lowest level of Kepler Station, 3 floors below the regular training areas. It was a place where old information was kept, where the Academy stored everything from Earth's first space programs to the initial contact reports with alien civilizations. Few cadets ever went to the archives. Most of them found it boring. But Ji-won had always liked looking at things, understanding how they worked, reading about the history of human spaceflight. Tonight, he had a different reason for going. He needed to understand what he was dealing with. He needed to understand Haina. The archive doors opened with a quiet whoosh sound. The space inside was large and cold, filled with servers and computers and old paper books that humans had brought up from Earth. The lights turned on automatically, creating soft yellow pools in the darkness. Ji-won walked deeper inside, his footsteps echoing off the metal floor. A computer terminal sat in the middle of the space. Ji-won sat down and began typing in his access code. His clearance level allowed him to view most public information, but nothing classified. He typed in Valorian physiology and waited. The screen filled with documents. He clicked on the first one, but it only showed him the title, Valorian Combat Capabilities, Classified. The rest was redacted, blocked out in black, unreadable. He tried another document. Same thing. Another, and another. Everything about the Valorians seemed to be classified beyond his level of access. He was about to give up when a new message appeared on the screen. It said simply, "Looking for something specific?" Jiwan's heart jumped. He looked around the archives, but he was alone. Then he realized that the message was typed on the screen, like someone was writing to him through the computer. He typed back, "I want to know about Valorians." The response came quickly. Everyone wants to know about Valorians, but the questions usually come after the fear. What made you afraid? Jiwan sat back in his chair. Who was this? He typed, "Who are you?" The response, someone who understands that information should not be trapped behind walls of fear. The Academy does not want cadets knowing the truth, but the truth is in the archives. I can help you find it. This was wrong. This was probably some kind of test or security measure, but Jiwan was tired of not understanding things. He typed, "I need to know what a Valorian really is." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the computer screen changed. Fragments of text appeared, small pieces of information that had somehow escaped the redaction. Together, they painted a picture that made Jiwan's skin go cold. Valorian reflexes, 0.03 seconds response time. Humans could do about 0.2 seconds. Valorian bone density, 340% greater than human average. They were not just stronger. They were built from something harder. Valorian combat efficiency rating, transcendent. The word transcendent had no human equivalent. It was a rating so high that they had needed to invent a new word for it. Valorian lifespan, 400 to 500 years average. Hai-Na could be older than entire human civilizations. She could be older than most Earth countries. Jiwan read the information over and over. Every sentence made him understand better why she had caught the scanner bolt so easily, why she had moved like she was not even bound by the same laws of physics that bound humans, why she seemed to view them the way a human might view ants on a sidewalk. But then, another fragment of text appeared on the screen. This one was different. It said, "Despite superior physical capabilities, Valorian civilization shows signs of stagnation. Population declining, birth rates falling, no major cultural innovations in 200 years, recommended status, species at risk." Jiwan stared at this information. Hai-Na and her people were the most advanced species in this region of space. They were stronger, faster, smarter by most measurements. They had weapons that made human weapons look like toys. And yet, they were dying. Slowly, but dying. The computer screen went black. Then a message appeared. "Now you understand why she was sent here. Now you understand why she looks at you the way she does." Then the screen returned to normal. The fragments of information were gone. Jiwan was alone with the standard access screen. He sat in the archives for another hour, thinking. He thought about Hai-Na's eyes, one yellow and one silver, looking at him like he was a problem she was trying to solve. He thought about the smile on her face when she said he was human. He thought about what it meant to be the only species in the room that was still growing, still changing, still moving forward. Jiwan left the archives and made his way back through the halls of Kepler Station. He passed training chambers where soldiers were practicing combat moves. He passed meditation rooms where people were trying to clear their minds. He passed windows that showed Earth spinning far below, looking like a blue marble in the darkness. By the time he reached his quarters, Jiwan had made a decision. He did not know what Hai-Na wanted from him. He did not know why she had looked at him the way she did. but he knew that she was not his enemy. And he knew that she had come to the academy for a reason that went deeper than just teaching cadets how to fight. Tomorrow, he would try to find her. Tomorrow, he would ask questions. Tomorrow, he would try to understand. But tonight, he lay in his bed and thought about a being made of silver and gold and something that had no name, standing in a training chamber and catching something that moved too fast to see. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow, he would be ready. Or at least he hoped he would be. The message arrived at 2:47 in the morning. Ji-won's personal communication device, the one they were given for emergency alerts, buzzed against his nightstand. He almost ignored it. Then curiosity got the better of him. He reached over and looked at the screen. The message was simple. Section 7, Subsurface Labs, come alone. We need to talk. It was not signed, but Ji-won knew who it was from. His heart started beating faster. This was either a test, something security had set up to see if he would fall for an obvious trap, or it was something real. Either way, he had to know. Ji-won dressed quietly, careful not to wake his roommate. He moved through the halls of Kepler Station like a ghost, staying to the edges of corridors, avoiding the security cameras he knew about. Most of the academy was asleep at this hour. The halls were empty except for a few maintenance workers who did not look at him as he passed. Section 7 was deep. To get there, Ji-won had to use his academy identification card at checkpoints he did not know existed. The card worked at most of them, but at the final checkpoint, the door did not open. Red lights flashed. An alarm sounded far away, maybe in security. Ji-won's stomach dropped. This was it. He had made a mistake. He was going to be arrested, sent home in disgrace, expelled from the academy. Then the door hissed open. Someone on the other side had overridden the lock. Ji-won stepped through and found himself in a place that looked less like a military facility and more like something from a dream. The walls were different here, made of a material that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Strange equipment lined the hallways, machines with purposes he could not even guess at. And then, at the end of the corridor, he found a door that was not locked. He pushed it open and stepped into a chamber with a view. The entire wall in front of him was transparent aluminum, and beyond it was space. Not the controlled view from the observation deck where cadets watched Earth or studied the stars. This was raw space, unfiltered, millions of stars, the infinite dark, and hanging in the middle of it all, the blue marble of Earth, turning slowly, alone in the cosmic ocean. Haina stood in front of the window, her hands clasped behind her back. Her armor seemed different in this lighting, more silver than gold. She did not turn around when Ji-won entered. "I have been watching you," she said, her voice like wind through a vast canyon. "Since the training chamber, I have been watching your actions, your behavior, your choices." "Why?" Ji-won asked. His mouth was dry. He did not know if he should run, fight, or simply stand there. "Because you are an anomaly," Haina said. She turned to face him now. Those strange eyes, one yellow, one silver, fixing on him like spotlights. "Do you know what the predictive models say about your species?" Ji-won shook his head. "They say that humans will destroy themselves within 300 years of developing nuclear weapons. Your kind is too violent, too irrational, too driven by emotions that override logic." She took a step toward him. "When my people first detected Earth's radio signals, this was the consensus. You should be eliminated before you become a threat, before you spread your chaos to other worlds." Ji-won's hands clenched into fists. He wanted to argue, but she was probably right. Humans had done terrible things to each other. Violence, war, hatred, all of these things were part of human history. He could not deny it. "And yet," Haina continued, "here you are, still alive, still growing, contrary to every model, every prediction, every rational assessment. Your species persists." You did not destroy yourselves. Instead, you reached for the stars. She was right beside him now. She reached out her hand. And at first, Ji-won thought she was going to attack him. But instead, she simply gestured to his hand. "Show me," she said. Confused, Ji-won extended his palm. Haina examined it like it was the most fascinating object in the universe. She traced the lines on his palm with one finger. She looked at the small scar he had from childhood, from falling off a bicycle on Earth. She felt the calluses from training. She seemed to be reading his hand like it was a text written in a language only she understood. Then she let it fall gently back to his side. "Fragile," she said. "So fragile. Your bones could break from a fall that we would barely notice. Your skin tears so easily. Your blood is so easy to spill. A being made to be strong would look at your species and see only weakness." "But?" Ji-won asked, because he could hear the word hanging in the air even though she had not said it. "But," Haina agreed, "there is something beneath the fragility, something I did not expect to find." She walked back to the window and looked out at Earth again. Ji-won joined her, standing a few meters away, careful not to get too close. The planet rotated silently in the darkness. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were sleeping, working, living their short lives. Somewhere down there, his mother was probably wondering when her son would come home. "When I caught the scanner bolt," Haina said, "you moved to try to protect yourself. This is what any species would do. This is the rational response. But then, I learned something more about your past, something that troubled my assessment." She looked at him. "The archive system that tracks your communications sent me data. You searched for information about Valorian physiology. You learned how far we exceed you in every physical way. And yet, you have not asked for transfer to a different squad. You have not requested reassignment away from me. You have not tried to hide." "Should I have?" Ji-won asked. "Yes," she said simply. "By every logical measure, you should be terrified. You should be running. You should be trying to distance yourself from a being who could kill you with minimal effort." "But I'm not running," Ji-won said. "No," Haina agreed. "You are not running. Instead, you came to this chamber when I asked you to. You came alone, which was dangerous and showed poor judgment. You came to understand, to learn, to grow." She paused. "This is the anomaly, not your survival as a species. The anomaly is your capacity to move toward danger when understanding awaits on the other side." They stood together at the window for a long time, two beings from different worlds, looking out at the star that had brought humans to space and the Valorians into their future. Finally, Haina spoke again. "There is a war coming, Ji-won. Something from deep in space, something old and hungry. The council of my people debates whether to stand against it or to retreat, to let it pass us by. Some say humans are not ready. Some say humans are not worth saving. But I have a different thought. And I needed to understand if that thought had merit before I submitted my reports." "What thought?" Ji-won asked. "That maybe," Haina said softly, "perfection is not enough to survive what is coming. That maybe we need something more, something that looks like weakness but is actually strength, something that looks like fragility but is actually resilience." She looked at him. "I think we need humans. And I think humans, somehow, need us." Ji-won did not know what to say to that. But as he stood at the window with Haina, watching Earth turn in the darkness, he understood that everything had changed. The academy was no longer just a military school. It was something else now. A beginning, a chance, a question that would either save them all or doom them all. And it all depended on whether two very different species could learn to trust each other before it was too late. The alarm came at 3:15 in the morning, not the gentle alarm for scheduled drills. This was the red alarm, The sound that meant something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. Ji-won was already awake. He had not slept after leaving Section 7, so he heard it immediately. He jumped out of his bed and ran to the window. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see something that made his blood run cold. Ships. More ships than he could count. They were descending toward Kepler Station like a swarm of dark birds, their hull lights creating constellations of red and orange in the darkness. An attack. The Academy was under attack. The announcement system came alive. A voice, calm and professional despite the chaos, explained the situation. Krell collective vessels have entered the system. All personnel report to combat stations. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. Ji-won dressed faster than he had ever dressed in his life. Military uniform, combat boots. Then he ran toward the training chamber where his squad was supposed to gather. The halls of Kepler Station had transformed. Soldiers in armor ran past him, moving with purpose. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. Seals were closing throughout the station, compartmentalizing the facility so that if one section was breached, the rest could survive. His squad was already there when he arrived. Min Kyung looked terrified. Da-eun was strapping weapons to her suit with mechanical precision. Tayo was checking the status of their defensive positions on a handheld monitor. "This is it," Tayo said when he saw Ji-won. "This is what the rumors have been about. The Krell." "What are they?" Ji-won asked. "Old," Tayo said. "Very old. They've been around for millions of years, expanding their territory, absorbing civilizations. The only reason we were left alone is because we were not important enough to notice." "Until now," Da-eun said quietly. They were assigned to defensive positions on the outer perimeter of the station. From their position, they could see the Krell ships approaching. These were not like human ships or Valorian ships. They were organic, almost, covered in what looked like chitin, with weapons that seemed to grow from their bodies rather than being mounted on them. Creatures inside those ships, millions of them, all moving toward Kepler Station with a single purpose: conquest. The first weapons fire came without warning. Energy blasts from the Krell ships struck the station's shields, and the entire structure shook like it was made of paper. Alarms screamed. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ji-won gripped his weapon and tried not to vomit from fear. Then something moved. Haina. She passed through their defensive line like wind passes through a room, moving so fast that Ji-won could barely track her. Her weapons, energy blades that seemed to be made of pure light, cut through the observation dome, depressurizing an entire section of the station, but she was not trying to hurt the station. She was moving toward the incoming Krell fighters, toward the Krell beings that were trying to board them. What happened next was not combat. It was poetry. It was violence turned into art. Haina moved between Krell soldiers with movements that should not have been possible. She was everywhere and nowhere. The Krell beings, which were fast and strong and utterly devastating, seemed to move through water compared to her speed. They could not hit what they could not see. But there were too many. For every Krell that fell to Haina's blades, 2 more came through the breaches in the station's hull. The Valorian fighters, warriors like Haina, but not quite as skilled, not quite as strong, fought alongside her, creating a defensive wall against the tide of invaders. But the tide was rising. The wall was cracking. That was when Ji-won saw the opening. One of the Krell commanders, a massive creature with 6 arms and a body covered in armor, had managed to corner Haina against a bulkhead. Haina's armor was scorched now. Her movements, while still impossibly fast, had taken on a slightly slower quality. Her energy reserves, Ji-won realized, were depleting. The commander raised all 6 arms, and weapons unfolded from each one: plasma blades, energy cannons, weapons that had no human names. The commander lunged. Haina tried to move, but her position was bad. The bulkhead was at her back. There was nowhere to go. The commander's blades would hit their target. Ji-won could calculate the distance, the speed, the inevitable conclusion. He ran, not away, not toward safety, toward the fight. Ji-won did not think about what he was doing. There was no time for thought. His legs simply moved, driving him forward faster than his mind said was possible. He reached Haina just as the commander's blades came down, and he threw his body between them, using his rifle to try to block what could not be blocked. The force of impact threw him to the ground. He expected pain. He expected darkness. Instead, he found himself still alive, still conscious, still breathing. Haina had moved. Just a fraction of a second, just enough. The commander's blades had missed, and Haina, moving with new speed, new purpose, drove her energy blade through the creature's center mass. The commander fell. More Krell came. The battle raged on for hours. Hours that felt like days. Hours that felt like seconds. Ji-won fought alongside his squad, alongside Haina, alongside every living being on Kepler Station who wanted to see another sunrise. They fell back, sector by sector, compartment by compartment. They held the inner rings. They protected the command center. They gave the station's communication array enough time to send a distress signal out into the universe. By the time the Krell finally retreated, whether because reinforcements were detected or because they simply decided the prize was not worth the cost, no one knew. Ji-won was exhausted beyond anything he had ever experienced. His muscles hurt. His mind was numb. Around him, the station was damaged but standing. Humans and Valorians lay on the ground, some breathing, some not. Haina stood in the middle of the main chamber, her armor scorched and dented, her movements controlled and careful. She looked around at the destruction, at the bodies, at the scared faces of cadets who had just survived their first real battle. Then she looked at Ji-won. "You moved in front of a Krell commander's attack," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Ji-won said. "That was illogical," Haina continued. "You cannot match the strength of a Krell warrior. You cannot survive an attack like that. Moving in front of me would result in your death." "Probably," Ji-won agreed. "And yet, you did it." "Yes," Ji-won said. "I did." Haina was silent for a long moment. Then, very slowly, something that might have been respect appeared in her eyes. "You have shown me something today," she said quietly. "Something that I had almost forgotten. Something that my people lost a very long time ago." "What's that?" Ji-won asked. "That some things," Haina said, "are more important than survival. That some moments require you to act without logic, without calculation, without certainty of success. That the willingness to fall for another being, that is what separates life from mere existence." She placed a hand on his shoulder, and her touch was surprisingly warm. "Your species," she said, "is not weak. I understand now why the Council should fear your potential. Not because you are strong, but because you are willing to sacrifice. And that is a force that no amount of physical power can overcome." The medical bay of Kepler Station had been transformed into something that looked like an organized chaos. Humans lay on beds next to Valorians, their very different biologies requiring very different treatments. Doctors and medics moved between patients, administering medicine, setting bones, healing wounds. Ji-won sat on a bench outside the medical bay, watching the activity through transparent walls. He was not injured badly enough to need treatment, but they would not let him leave either. His squad mates were scattered throughout the bay. Da-won had taken shrapnel to her shoulder but would keep her arm. Min-kyung had a pressure breach in his suit that had nearly caused rapid decompression, but the repair had been done in time. Teo had been thrown against a wall and had several broken ribs, but humans healed from broken ribs. The doctor said he would be fine. Ji-won just sat and waited. He was thinking about nothing and everything at the same time. He was thinking about the Krell commander, about how big it was, about how many ways it could have killed him. He was thinking about Hey-Na's face when she looked at him after the battle. He was thinking about what came next. Around the third hour of sitting, an official-looking woman approached him. She wore the insignia of a military commander, and her face had the expression of someone carrying very important information. She sat down on the bench next to him without asking permission. "Cadet Ji-won," she said. "I am Admiral Choi. We need to talk about what you did in the battle." Ji-won's stomach tightened. "Am I in trouble?" "That depends on many things," Admiral Choi said. "Your action was against protocol. You broke formation. You acted without orders. In a normal military situation, that would result in disciplinary action." "But?" Ji-won asked, because again, there seemed to be a but hanging in the air. "But," Admiral Choi said, "you may have saved the instruction's life. Hey-Na is not just any Valorian warrior. She is one of their highest-ranking officers, one of the few beings in their military with the authority to make decisions about interspecies cooperation. If she had died today, the entire diplomatic initiative might have collapsed. The Valorian Council might have decided that humans were too weak to be allies. They might have chosen to watch us fall rather than stand with us." She was quiet for a moment, letting that sink in. "Instead," Admiral Choi continued, "you showed them something different. A human threw himself in front of a lethal attack to save an alien, not for glory, not for recognition, simply because the right thing to do was more important than staying safe." Ji-won did not know what to say. He had not thought about any of that when he ran toward the Krell commander. He had only thought about the fact that Hai-Na was about to die, and he could not let that happen. "Hai-Na has submitted her formal report to the Valorian Council," Admiral Choi said. "In it, she recommends that the Valorian fleet stand against the Krell Collective. She recommends full military alliance with humanity. She recommends that humans be treated as equals, not as lesser beings in need of protection." "She did?" Ji-won's eyes widened. "She did," Admiral Choi confirmed. "She also mentioned your name specifically. She wrote, and I am quoting from the official translation, "Cadet Ji-won demonstrated a level of commitment to duty and to his allies that exceeds the commitment shown by many Valorian warriors with decades of combat experience. This is not weakness. This is not the behavior of an inferior species. This is the behavior of a species that will survive extinction events that would destroy all others. Humanity must be supported, trained, and elevated to full partnership. To do otherwise would be to squander the greatest tactical advantage we have encountered in recorded history." Ji-won felt his eyes getting wet. He was not sure if he wanted to cry or laugh, or both at the same time. Admiral Choi stood up. "You have been promoted to junior officer, effective immediately. Your squad mates have been promoted as well. You will all report for advanced training next week. The Valorian delegation has also requested that you become part of the first integrated human-Valorian combat unit. You will train together, fight together, and hopefully learn together." She placed a hand on his shoulder, mimicking what Hai-Na had done after the battle. "You should be proud, Ji-won," she said. "You just changed the course of human history." The next few days passed in a blur of celebrations, security debriefings, and treatment for injuries that Ji-won had not realized he had. His mother called from Earth, having heard the news about the attack on Kepler Station and the battle that followed. She cried. She told him she was proud. She told him to be careful. She told him she loved him. He told her the same things back. On the 5th day after the attack, Ji-won was finally released from observation. He had been ordered to report to Hai-Na's quarters to receive his new assignment. He did not know what to expect. Would she be different now that the battle was over? Would she treat him differently? Or would everything go back to how it was before? He did not have to wait long to find out. When he arrived, Hana was standing at a window identical to the one in Section 7. Earth was visible in the distance, that small blue world that had launched so much in motion. Hana looked at him without turning around. "I have been reviewing combat footage from the battle," she said. 34 meters. That is how far you ran to reach me before the Krell commander struck. In 34 meters, you covered ground that a human should not be able to cover in that time. Your instincts drove you faster than your biology should have allowed. "I just moved," Ji-won said. "Yes," Hana agreed. "You just moved. Without thinking, without calculating, without certainty of success. You simply moved because the situation required movement. This is something my people forgot how to do thousands of years ago. We calculate everything, we plan, we optimize. And in doing so, we became slow. We became predictable." She finally turned to face him, and her eyes, one yellow, one silver, held something that might have been warmth. "You did not save me because I am stronger, faster, or more valuable," she said. "You saved me because I was your ally, because we had fought together, because my survival mattered to you. This is a concept I had dismissed as inefficient. But I have come to understand that efficiency is not the measure of a good soldier. Purpose is. And you, Ji-won, know how to fight with purpose." She extended her hand, and this time Ji-won took it without hesitation. "We will fight together," she said. "In the war that is coming, when the Krell return, and they will return, we will face them together. Humans and Valorians, the weak and the strong, the illogical and the calculated. And I believe we will be unstoppable." Through the window, Earth continued to spin, a world that had sent its people to the stars. A world that was about to change everything about how the galaxy understood strength, courage, and the true meaning of sacrifice.